The story of human civilization is intricately linked to some of the greatest rivers on Earth. As agriculture is the prerequisite for early complex society, and water is the source of agriculture. But water in itself is insufficient. Nutrients deposited by flooding rivers are often as important, which is why some of the earliest human civilizations center around alluvial floodplains because nutrients carried by the flood rejuvenates the soil season after season of harvest. A good example is the Nile River, which predictably and gently floods annually in the summer, enriching the soil and nurturing the Egyptian civilization for thousands of years. The Chinese, however, were not so lucky. While the Yellow River provides fertile soil for intensive agriculture, the river itself floods unpredictably and often very violently, even changing course by hundreds of kilometers, killing millions and causing untold destruction. This is also the reason why the Chinese, unlike most other societies that deify their warrior, high priests, or god kings, chooses instead to deify a hydro engineer as their grand patriarch. 大禹治水 recounts the story of Yu, living around 2000 BC, who directed a series of canal works to ease the flooding of the Yellow River. Folklore tells of Yu being so dedicated to flood mitigation that his 13 years project took him past his home 3 times, yet he never once returned to see his family until his project was completed. His achievements are often narrated as the beginning of the dynastic history of China. One interest of note in the flood myth of China, which distinguished it from the rest of the world, was that there was no divine presence or divine intervention in the story of Yu, only the will of man and his perseverance to master his environment. While we do not have archaeological evidence of Yu's hydro project today, the narrative nonetheless sets in motion a 4,000-year cultural affinity with hydro projects. Every successive Chinese dynasty, aside from first reunifying territories severed in the previous cycle, has hydro engineering projects second in priority. In fact, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say hydro engineering is the pièce de résistance of the Chinese civilization. This affinity with hydro engineering projects is not only out of symbolic value, but is in fact central to the spread of Chinese civilization. This can be seen by juxtapositioning the early history of societies around the twin rivers of China, the Yellow River and the Yangtze River. While societies around the Yellow River grew in size and complexities, the same did not happen with societies around the Yangtze, despite being the birthplace of the most calorifically dense grain crop in the world, the rice. The reason for this is attributed to the swamps and wetlands that surrounds the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze, coupled with a mild subtropical climate. This created a moist environment where intensive agricultural land is scarce and the ecology works against crop surplus and human health, resulting in small societies practicing simple agriculture, supplementing calorific needs with hunting and gathering. In fact, census records in the Han Dynasty informs that the region around middle reaches of Yangtze only had a population of 68,000 in the year 2 AD. There are literally military garrisons in cities along the Yellow River with soldiers' numbers larger than this. The Yangtze only starts seeing population increase to 100,000 by Tang, to a respectable 500,000 by Song, and 1.2 million by the Mid-Ming dynasty. This increase in population is a direct result of hydro engineering works of both public and private nature, draining the wetlands and swamps around the Yangtze and turning it into productive land beginning with Chu settlement, but significantly picking up traction during Sui and Tang period. This resulted in a population boom, shifting the economic and cultural heart of China southwards away from the Yellow River towards the Yangtze as is seen today. Not only was the Yangtze sinicized due to the Chinese affinity with hydroengineering, the Pearl River Delta was also sinicized through a similar process, with Qin Shi Huang building the Lingqu Canal, linking the Pearl River system to a Yangtze tributary, facilitating logistical and military support of the Pearl River Delta from the Yangtze, allowing him to station the famous 500,000 soldiers in what is today Guangzhou to secure the southern hinterlands of his then new China. Perhaps the most important reason for the successive Chinese dynasties embarking on these large hydro-engineering projects is the legitimizing effect of the mandate of heaven, directly linking the welfare and prosperity of the people to the legitimacy to govern, as these water projects are not only flood mitigating measures but doubly serves the irrigational needs of an intensive agricultural society. Between the classical and the medieval period, a large number of massive hydro-engineering projects were completed, many of which are still in use today. Examples of these include the Grand Canal, linking the Yellow River system to the Yangtze, providing a north-south axis transportation of the Chinese heartland. Another one would be the aforementioned Lingqu Canal, linking the Yangtze to the Pearl River system, and also the Dujiangyan irrigation system that serves the irrigational and flood control needs of large parts of Sichuan. Perhaps some of the largest hydro-engineering projects are those done in the modern period, with the Three Gorges Dam being the largest hydroelectric engineering project undertaken to date, and the South-North Water Transfer Project, aiming to bring much-needed moisture back to the north, parts of which incorporates the Grand Canal's infrastructure built as early as 2,000 years ago. What many may not realize is that there are a number of canal projects underway in China in a scale unseen before. Anhui, Guangxi, Hubei, Henan, Jiangxi are all regions in China where astronomical amount of money is dumped into this region to bring the prosperity of coastal China inland. Finally, for the first time, perhaps, since Qin Shi Huang, China is now once again undertaking hydro-engineering projects outside of its territory. The Funan-Teco Canal that started work on 5th August 2024 links a large part of Cambodia to the sea without having to exit the Mekong through Vietnam, greatly benefiting the Cambodian logistical chain and bringing Cambodia closer to China's sphere of influence.